Our story begins inside of the Jedi Temple as Anakin Skywalker is staring out into the sunset with a tear running down his cheek. He knows that his entire life has led up to this very moment, this very choice. If he goes to Palpatine's office, which he knows he will, he knows what side he will likely choose. But he was convincing himself that joining Palpatine was joining Padme. He had to save her. He had to stop the Jedi Council from this terrible grab for power that they were attempting. He simply had no choice. But across the city, Darth Sidious stared at the 4 Jedi entering his office, and he knew he could defeat them, or at least hold them off until Skywalker arrives. But on the way up to the office, Windu had put together a plan with Kit Fisto, Aegon Kolar, and Saesee Tiin. He decided it would be foolish to think the 4 of them could defeat Sidious in even combat. The Sith Lord would not have waited so long to reveal himself, unless his abilities were far superior to most Jedi. So, Mace told these Jedi that they won't be playing by the rules. And so, as Darth Sidious ignited his lightsaber and spun at the 4 Jedi, they enacted their plan. All 4 of Windu, Fisto, Tiin, and Kolar would reach up into the ceiling, and without hesitation, the Jedi ripped down the ceiling on top of Darth Sidious. It crumbled apart, crashing down on the Dark Lord as he screamed out in surprise. The rubble, the crushed statues, the stone, the steel from the floor and walls, it all slammed into him before his red blade could slaughter the Jedi Masters. And as the 4 Jedi covered their eyes, waiting for everything to quiet down, it finally came to a stop, and Windu quickly assigned the other 3 Jedi to damage control for the senators, clones, guards, and everyone else in this building. Tell them that the office ceiling has collapsed, but the Jedi have safely gotten Palpatine out of there. And so, buried deep in the stone, Palpatine slowly opened his eyes, only to find a pair of force-restraining cuffs placed onto his wrists. As he was yanked out of the rubble, Palpatine smiled as blood from the impact trickled down his forehead, his cheek, and lip as he prepared to tell everyone in the halls that the Jedi are taking over. But Windu didn't have any intention of going through with these theatrics. Instead, he held Palpatine with a firm grip, and he crushed the huge window behind him, force leaping out of it. Just outside of the office window, the LAAT gunship that the Jedi took over to this building was waiting for him. Windu threw Palpatine's body to the ground, and when Windu looked to see that the Chancellor was still smiling, a chill ran down his back that he tried to hide, and he would instruct the clone pilot to take off. The pilot muttered to himself, wondering what he's gotten himself involved in, but like a good soldier, he followed orders, and he took off for the Jedi Temple in the distance. And as the ship flew, the eerie silence of Coruscant brushed through Windu's robes, as everything felt off. He knew he needed some peace. He should feel some peace. He just captured the Sith Lord, but he wanted Sidious dead. He thought he needed Sidious dead. He was far too dangerous to be left alive, and as he looked down at Sidious, the man kept this smile on his face, staring at Windu, as if this entire thing was just a big game to him. Sidious told Windu that he knows what he is feeling. He knows he wants to cut him down right here, and Palpatine assured Windu that the feeling is mutual, and deep down, he knows this will all end in violence. It'll all end in terrible bloodshed that can be prevented by using these emotions, diving into the dark side, and killing him. Windu shook his head, saying that killing Palpatine would be no act of darkness. It would be an act of mercy for the galaxy. Palpatine chuckled, saying that if that were so, he would have done it by now. They both know the truth. If he kills him right now, the entire Jedi Order will crumble, and the Republic that Windu loves so dearly will become his greatest enemy. Windu said that he would sacrifice every Jedi if it meant ending this war, and he felt his hand move to his lightsaber. Palpatine was truly in his head, but before he could do anything, the pilot alerted him that they were approaching the temple hangar, and Palpatine looked out of the ship, saying to Windu that he will lose. The last he checked, after all, his philosophical outlook on life is not a crime. In fact, the Constitution has very strict laws against this type of persecution. Arresting someone simply because they have opposite beliefs of the Jedi, it is nonsense. Unless he plans to accuse him of a real crime, he will have great trouble explaining all of this to the Senate. Unless, of course, Windu intends to arrest the entire Senate as well, and Palpatine admitted it would not be too surprising for the Jedi to carry out the mutiny to the entire Republic. Windu was barely listening. He told Palpatine that he knows all of that is nonsense. He was working with Dooku to create this war, The blood of millions are on his hands. He's the most treasonous man in the entire galaxy. And with a final smile, Palpatine said that even if that were true, he wouldn't have exactly left a trail of evidence behind. And then they landed. The gunship doors opened, and Windu dragged Palpatine out of the ship as they came face to face with Anakin Skywalker. Anakin's expression shifted from despair to confusion and then relief. Windu didn't kill him. Anakin asked Palpatine if he is hurt, and Palpatine said, "The only thing hurt is the sanctity of this Jedi Order." Windu turned Palpatine over to a group of 10 temple guards, and he would order that they lock up the Sith Lord in the highest security prison that the temple has to offer. Watch over him with as many guards as they can spare. Palpatine was taken away, but not before he could tell Anakin to look inward, find the truth. This Jedi Order is not one he should wish to serve any longer. And when he was gone, Windu turned to Anakin, saying that the coming trial will not be easy. If there are any ties to Palpatine working with Dooku, Grievous, or any Separatist leaders, they must find them. But they do have a wild card in all of this, quickly approaching the Jedi Temple. Ahsoka Tano has captured Darth Maul, and he may be able to reveal the truth to the Senate. Anakin asked if they can trust Maul to take their side. Windu said no, not exactly, but they can trust that Maul carries a deep hatred for Darth Sidious. He may not see it as taking the side of the Jedi, but instead taking the side against Sidious. And Mace would see Anakin look past him, towards where Palpatine was taken. He could sense Anakin's conflict. Something was still bothering him. Something was drawing him to the Sith Lord. So, now that Sidious was in custody, and Windu had a moment to just breathe and consider everything, he would ask Anakin to come with him. And the two of them moved into the temple, turning the opposite direction of the prison block, heading for the meditation chambers. Anakin would ask Windu if he thinks Palpatine will try and break out of here. Windu said that he may, but it will not be successful. The cuffs truly do cut off his ability to use the Force, and as of now, he is truly just the Chancellor of the Republic, nothing more. Inside of the maximum security prison cell, Palpatine was surrounded by unbreakable ray shield doors, with his hands cuffed. To the Jedi, it seemed like they've done it. They've captured the Sith Lord. But Sidious sat back, and he let himself relax. In time, everything will go his way. And in the meditation chamber, Windu asked Anakin what was truly on his mind. Why did Palpatine reveal himself as the Sith Lord? Why is he conflicted about the Jedi and the Sith? Windu told Anakin that he understands how powerful Anakin can be, and how he's struggled to trust him only because he's believed that the Sith see that same power. And he was clearly right. But now, with the Sith in custody, they must come together. Anakin knew he was low on options. He needed Palpatine alive, and the best way to keep him alive may be by coming clean with the truth. So, finally, Anakin would tell Windu all about Padme. She's pregnant, and he's been having nightmares about her dying in childbirth. He sought out answers with Yoda, with the Force. No one has given him any sort of answer, except for Darth Sidious. Finally, Windu had the truth, and Anakin muttered that he doesn't expect Windu to understand. Anakin said he knows that he's broken the Jedi Code by forming this attachment, but he doesn't care. She means everything to him, and he will truly do whatever it takes to save her. Windu knew he could scold Anakin. He could tell him this is the exact reason that the Jedi don't form attachments. But what use would that do? He needs Anakin on his side, because he has an attachment of his own, an attachment to the Republic, an attachment he will do almost anything to protect. And right now, that means keeping Anakin on his side. So, Mace would tell Anakin to meditate with him. Together, they will find these nightmares. They will seek out and find the truth of the matter. Anakin and Mace would sink into meditation, and Anakin's mind would sleep. Immediately, he would see the sterile room as Padme was screaming out in childbirth. Obi-Wan was here, telling her to stay strong. Anakin wanted to break it off. He hated watching this, but Windu's voice pierced the nightmare. It told Anakin to wait, to seek the truth. So, Anakin stayed. He waited. He listened to the screams, the heartbreak, and in the end, Padme died with a few chilling words. She told Obi-Wan there is still good in him, as her head fell back. And now, the vision ended. Anakin stared at Windu as Mace gave Anakin a nod, saying it is as he expected. Anakin's visions showed him a terrible future that comes from the dark side. The Sith Lord is offering him the pathway to these visions coming true, not the solution. The only way to truly protect Padme is by ensuring that Sidious never again sees the light of day. Anakin was overwhelmed. This was all he ever wanted from the Jedi, but he would just give Windu a nod, genuinely thanking him for his help. And Windu would admit that this may not have been possible to do without first capturing Palpatine. The Force seems to have been freed a bit. And from here, the Jedi would get to work on preparing for a trial. As Windu awaited the return of Ahsoka with Maul in custody, he sent Anakin to Padme. Talk to her, as she is one of the good senators. Ask her to side with the Jedi in the courts. He will speak to Obi-Wan and the rest of the council members. And so, things would get underway. Windu would contact Kenobi and the rest of the council, and it would be revealed that Obi-Wan has destroyed General Grievous. So, Windu gave him his next assignment: do everything he can to find out where the Separatist leaders have been sent. The rest of the council masters would be instructed to finish their battles as quickly as possible and return to Coruscant. But he did want Plo Koon and Stas Ali to go to Sereno after their fights, look for any evidence tying Palpatine to Dooku, and Mace also assigned Mundi to stay in contact with Obi-Wan. When he finds out where the Separatist leaders have been sent, he must go and arrest them. Kenobi will return to Coruscant when he's finished on Utapau. Windu wished for the Force to be with them all. He will gather all of the evidence and the support that he can for the coming trial. They will finally win. Democracy will finally be restored. But back in Palpatine's office, a couple hours later, many questions were being asked. Tons of senators were in panic, as they wondered if Palpatine was alright. His office was ruined. He was nowhere to be found. Red Guards were holding back all sorts of people from entering into the rubble, and the word from his office was that he was safe and recovering. Everything should be fine. But at Palpatine's desk, Mas Amedda was able to get inside, and he would find an encrypted file that was recently put together just minutes before the Jedi came to his office. The file could only be opened by Mas Amedda himself or by Anakin Skywalker, Palpatine's personal representative, but it would be Mas who accessed it to find a recording hologram of Palpatine. The recording laid out a contingency plan, just in case the Jedi do end up arresting him, or worse. First, Mas must play the next recording to the clone troopers across the galaxy, but especially here on Coruscant. Next, he must destroy all evidence of his relations with Dooku, including this recording. And when both of these acts are done, the Empire may be born with the two of them at the top. The first recording would end, and Mas Amedda moved to the main communication terminal in this office. He would first play the second recording to the clones here on Coruscant. He accessed their comms, and the 501st Army would receive their new orders from a recording of Palpatine himself. Execute Order 66. As this order was sent out, Obi-Wan Kenobi was on his way back to Coruscant after finding out where the Separatist leaders had been sent to: Mustafar, the lava world. So, Mundi was being sent there, and on Sereno, Plo Koon and Stas Ali were landing together as they prepared to enter the castle and look for any evidence. On Coruscant, Anakin was with Padme and her delegation of 2,000, including Bail and Mon, when he felt the shift in the Force. Anakin would tell them that he has to go and find out the truth of the matter, and so he would begin his return to the Jedi Temple. But on Mustafar, as Ki-Adi-Mundi entered into the Separatist base with a squad of clones, orders would come in to this Republic Venator in the Mustafar atmosphere that brought him here. Orders to execute Order 66 and destroy the Separatists, along with the Jedi. So, as Mundi told all of these leaders that they were under arrest, the cannons from the Venator above fired heavy volleys into the building. Mundi, the squad of clones, and every single Separatist leader would quickly die in these explosions as the building crashed into the lava, and this would also take down the droid shutdown protocol, shutting down all of the battle droids. Mundi and the leaders died quickly. On Sereno, as Plo Koon and Stas Ali infiltrated the castle, the two Republic Venators in this atmosphere received their orders: execute Order 66. So, as Plo and Ali found a hologram of Palpatine in Dooku's archives, the castle would be bombed from the skies, and both Plo and Stas Ali would quickly die. as Dooku's castle was obliterated. In space and across the galaxy, Order 66 was being sent out. Obi-Wan found himself fighting against Commander Cody and the 212th as the ship moved towards Coruscant. And above Coruscant, the Venator carrying Ahsoka, Maul, and the other half of the 501st emerged, as Rex and his men received Order 66 to kill Ahsoka and Maul. And on Coruscant, as Anakin landed his speeder in the hangar, he looked down to the temple stairs to find a chilling sight. Thousands of clone troopers, his 501st clone troopers, were marching into the temple. Anakin sprinted through the hangar, then through the halls, and he was shouting across the temple, telling everyone to prepare for battle. He could feel something was off in the minds of the clones. They were coming to slaughter the Jedi. He yelled at them all to protect the younglings. And then Anakin sprinted into the prison block to find Palpatine, calmly sitting with the same smile still etched on his face. He kindly greeted Anakin, and Anakin demanded to know what was going on. Palpatine simply said that this was the necessary response by Republic soldiers to this treasonous arrest by the Jedi. Anakin would dismiss the temple guards, telling all of them to go and protect the temple, and Anakin will be alone with Palpatine. And Palpatine told Anakin that the Jedi are going to die. He still has time to choose the correct path. Join him. Together they can bring peace to the galaxy. Together, they can save Padme. But Anakin told Palpatine that he has already found the truth, and Padme will only be saved in the light. Palpatine inclined his head, his smile finally fading, and he said, "So be it. Then he will die in this massacre." And Anakin could hear the heavy commotion of blaster fire, screams, and battle outside of the prison block. He ignited his saber as the doors to this area exploded outward, and he told Palpatine he underestimates the power of the light side, and he prepared himself for the fight. In the upper levels of the temple, Mace Windu looked on as alarms were beginning to scream through the building. Kit Fisto turned with him, sensing the surge of fear and violence. Agen Kolar and Sazitin quickly turned back to back, igniting their sabers, seeing the clones have turned on them. And the Jedi Council members were running in to protect the Jedi. In the security halls, Anakin moved his blade in smooth swings, deflecting bolts back down the hall. One trooper fell as his own blast returned into his chest plate. Another group was lifted off the ground, slammed into the wall with a powerful push. Anakin stepped forward, cutting through the squad with sadness in his heart, knowing this was the only way. More clones rushed in behind them, pushing towards Palpatine's cell, but Anakin stood his ground, using his full power to stop Sidious from being freed. All around the temple, clones flooded through the main entrance, taking out temple guards and knights, trying to protect the main temple hall. The clone rifles were firing as they advanced into the meditation and training rooms. Gunships circled above the temple spires, sending squads down onto the upper terraces, while cannons fired onto the courtyard. But the temple was far from defenseless. Hundreds of Jedi Knights and Masters had already formed defensive lines along the main hall, and they stood confidently because Windu stood at the front of them like a wall. His purple blade was deflecting bolts back into the troopers. The Jedi Council members were here. They were standing strong. Fisto, Kolar, Tin, and Windu forming this wall together. But still, even with their power, the Jedi were being overwhelmed by the sheer number of clones. Reinforcements poured into the temple from every possible direction. The library was erupting in flames as troopers were storming the archives. Young Jedi attempting to defend the training halls would fall to blaster fire. Explosions were shattering pillars in the meditation gardens as the battle spread through every level of the temple. And above the planet, Republic Venators began arriving, one after another, as they were all called back here by Windu just hours ago. One cruiser dropped out of hyperspace, trailing fire along its engines from the battle inside of the Venator. This ship would see Coleman Kaj fight to his end, and the Venator drifted downward through Coruscant's skyline before slamming into the city far below, the explosion lighting the night sky across half the planet. Another Venator would emerge into orbit, engines failing, as clones battled Jedi across the hangar bays. But through the chaos of the city's airspace, a few Jedi escaped their Venators and moved for the temple. Obi-Wan guided a damaged ship into the temple, and he cut through the clones as he charged inside. And then, another presence. Yoda would enter through the temple through a shattered balcony window, landing in the center of the temple as troopers were thrown aside by powerful waves of the Force. Yoda and Obi-Wan charged in together. And then Ahsoka Tano arrived, running down into the temple. And against all odds, Darth Maul was by her side with a mission. Ensure Sidious loses. Sidious did not anticipate the return of Kenobi, Yoda, and these others, as they were already en route for Coruscant when the order was sent in. And together, they forced their way into the temple, joining the battle raging inside as the tide would begin to turn. Still in the prison block, Anakin fought off every single enemy, and as the room finally was beginning to clear, he had a moment to think, and he would turn to Palpatine, telling him he made a fatal error just days ago. Sidious, behind the ray shield, held a great scowl as Anakin plugged his comlink into a nearby temple communicator, and Anakin accessed the Jedi Temple speakers, speaking to the clones, as the newly appointed personal representative to Chancellor Palpatine. He used this power to order all of the clones to stand down immediately, and across the temple, the clones paused their attacks as the command controlling them collapsed under Anakin's words. In just moments, the temple went quiet as Palpatine stood in shock. Anakin has always been the other one to have the power to control the clones, but it never should have happened like this. And across the temple and the galaxy, clone troopers would quickly stand frozen as Anakin's new orders were spreading through them. Their need for Jedi blood was replaced by confusion and despair. They looked down to their hands, then to the bodies. Fallen Jedi scattered across the floors, temple guards beside them, clones cut down all around. Smoke drifted through the ceiling where windows had been blown out. Shattered columns had fallen around them, bodies stuck underneath. And outside, the distant fires of crashed Venators were burning across Coruscant. The clones began removing their helmets, one by one, standing in the wreckage of a battle against the very generals who fought beside them for years. Cody, Rex, and the others were still alive, but they saw the damage they caused, and they knew there was never going to be a way to truly come back from this. They realized they were played by the man who they thought was their leader, and they would do anything they could to ensure Sidious never saw the light of day again. And so, the trial of Palpatine would not go as planned for Sidious. The Jedi Council, led by Windu and Anakin, testified about Palpatine's true identity. Clone commanders described the command that had forced them to attack the Jedi. Cody, Rex, and Wolf led this. But the testimony that had the most impact came from Maul. He was brought in under heavy security, and the former Sith revealed the truth of his master's long plan to control both the Republic and the Separatists, and twist it into an empire. Piece by piece, Palpatine's rule would collapse, and Palpatine's sentence would be imprisonment for all eternity. The Mandalorian vault that held Maul would now hold Sidious instead. He was sealed inside the chamber for all of his remaining life. Maul remained a prisoner as well, but he was in a high-security Jedi holding cell, under constant watch, confined but not buried in the Mandalorian vault. He knew he may soon be rescued. And across the galaxy, the war came to a quick end. And on Naboo, Padme gave a safe birth to the twins. For the first time in years, Anakin allowed himself to step away from war and find peace within himself. He remained part of the Order, but he took time away from the Temple, dividing his life between the Order and his family. The Jedi had learned many lessons during this war, and the Council would finally begin reshaping the Order's role in the galaxy within the Republic. The clones faced a future where they were part of a rebuilding from the very worlds they'd once fought over. The Republic was entering a long period of reform. Senators like Bail Organa and Padme helped to lead efforts, strengthening the government, and prevent another leader like Palpatine from ever gaining power. Oversight of the military increased, corruption investigations were spreading across the Senate, and new laws ensured no one like Palpatine could ever rise again. The Temple slowly recovered from the battle that nearly destroyed the Order. Younglings once again trained in the Temple, while the surviving Masters guided the Order into a new era of reflection under Grand Master Windu. The Republic endured, the Jedi survived, and the shadow of the Dark Lord that nearly consumed them all was locked away forever. And folks, that is our story for today. Yeah, I'm back. I took 5 days away for vacation. I was with a family trip. It was fun. And I do have some plans to do some streaming on this channel eventually at some point. Just casual talking to you guys stuff, nothing crazy. But yeah, maybe in a few days, I don't know.
I know, math is hard.
Just wanted to get that out there. Let me know in the comments if that's something you think you'd enjoy. Again, literally just talking. I don't know. Could be fun to chat and just, talk to you guys. Haven't really done that before. Anyways, I enjoyed this story, the arresting him and still having Order 66 come into play. I thought it was fun. It's kind of chaotic, hard to maybe track, but I don't know, that's what Order 66 kind of is, so. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you want to see next. And I'll see you in the next video. That was stupid. I'll see you in the next video.